This set of images were taken in Namibia just before lockdown this year. Namibia shares a border with Zambia and Angola to the north, and South Africa and Botswana to the south. Now, the country is 3.5 times larger than Great Britain, and it has a population of 2.6 million. And that makes it one of the least densely populated countries in the world. And the photographs that I've taken are in a district called Sossusvlei. The first image is the largest sand dune in the world. It was taken at sunrise. The deep color of the sand was created by a combination of the red rising sun and the iron oxide of the sand. The next image was taken in Deadvlei, or Death Marsh. And this is a salt clay pan, and it was formed when climate changed and drought hit the area. Now the sand dunes encroached on the pan and blocked the river that watered the trees. As a result, they died. The next image was taken from the top of a sand dune with a 200mm lens. And the heat haze gave an ethereal atmosphere to this shot as I photographed across the Namibian desert. The hill walker appeared suddenly at the brow of a hill, and this sand dune is known as Big Daddy. It's the largest sand dune in Sossusvlei. It was a grab shot, handheld, and taken just before the hill walker disappeared over the brow of the hill again. I'm a firm believer in serendipity forms a very important element in photography. The final image in this sequence was taken in the eerie silence of Deathvlei after moonrise. I used a wide-angle 24mm lens mounted on a tripod to capture this scene. Now, it was a very physically very challenging image to create because of the remote location and the intense heat.
So the title of this panel is Welcome to my miniature mountain life. The first picture of this panel called Parmesan Mountain. My hometown is not far from Italy, and there is so much nice hiking and rock climbing spots in the Alps. A few years ago with my brother in the Mont Saint-Denis lake, after we finished it, we decided to cross the border and go to Italy to eat some pasta, with Parmesan of course. The second picture of my panel is the Apple Mountain, but actually the real name is Vercors, it's where I'm from. And every time I'm going there, I like to climb with my parents, going to this little cabin in the mountain called Auberge de Malaterre, where we actually eat their famous apple pie. The central picture of my panel, it's the Pancake Mountain. Every time when you arrive to the top of the mountain after a climb, you feel you achieved the impossible. It's a little bit like the cherry on the top of the cake, but for me, I prefer strawberries. So the name of this picture is Grapefruit Mountain. I actually never do any hike or rock climbing without a grapefruit of my bag. And on this picture, I wanted to show that my brother is always having an eye on me when I climb the mountain. For this picture, it's the homemade bread mountain. I'm so proud I actually was able to make my own bread during the COVID and the lockdown. So this bread actually was exactly the same and the same taste as the one I could find in the little cabin where I'm from in France called Les Allières. And you eat their famous slice of bread with cheese.
My panel consists of 5 images taken outside the International Bar on Dublin's Exchequer Street. They are part of a collection, now running to more than 30 images, built up over the past 3 to 4 years. Since being introduced to street photography, no trip into town is complete for me without a visit to this location, in the hope that there will be an interesting subject or two availing of the pub's outdoor facilities, usually with a drink, but not necessarily so. I like to take candid shots, ideally with the subject or subjects unaware that they are being photographed, and no permission was sought or offered for the images in this panel. So in these 5 photographs, we have the 2 outside shots, image number 1 and image number 5, of men deep in thought. The inner facing shots, image number 2 and image number 4, show couples clearly engaged with one another and not worrying about a photographer on the other side of the street. I was clearly spotted in the center shot, image number 3, and the main character appears not overly happy at being photographed. But thankfully he didn't chase after me and demand I delete the photo. With the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown, trips to town were not possible, and the bar was closed. However, as the bar serves food, it has reopened, and I did venture into town last weekend. There were plenty of people about, but social distancing wasn't always in evidence, so I won't be repeating this exercise for some time to come, sadly.
The whole concept of this panel was, I titled it Freedom Walk. After our lockdown was my first walk into the city. I decided I'd take my infrared camera, Fuji that I'd converted, and go for a walk and see what town was like at lockdown. And the whole idea of this image is to show how people were keeping their distance and how few people there are about. The second slide, another one from Stephen's Green, a continuation of the first one where the people are well spread out. I then moved on to the Grand Canal. I had a walk along the canal. I took this shot from Mount Street Bridge, looking along the canal, beautiful sunny day, and people were very scarce again, but there was a couple of people having picnics along the bank. Further along the canal, I came across this herring. I was able to go right close to it, very few people around. Normally, you wouldn't see them this close on the canal. And then I further went along to Marion Square, and I've always been trying to get a nice picture of Oscar Wilde, but there was always too many tourists around. I had it to myself this day. There was so few people around.